Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to SATAC Cold War Week 2. This is Snake versus 28th Squadron. I am still figuring out how this all works, so please bear with me. A little bit thrown into the deep end, but we're gonna do our best here today. So first off, we're going to do our dice roll. We've got 1 to 18 because both teams have Caucasus, Persian Gulf, and Syria. So we're gonna run this dice roll here. And we get 1. So it is Sochi versus Mozdok on the Caucasus. Caucasus is the only map they all have. Well, it's a good thing we rolled Caucasus, because I was told they had all the maps. We'll figure it out. All right, they want a redo of the roll 1 to 6, which will give only the Caucasus maps. Die roll is a 5. Tbilisi versus Sukhumi. WTR 2. Who do we have running the server to change the mission? Should be on me. Nobody told me. Announce what? Announce where? I put it in chat. All right, we're gonna wait for a bit to get the map sorted out. All right, I see the server's resetting. We're getting it sorted. All right, now we're gonna call for the coin flip. All right. 28th falls tails. We will flip this coin. And it is heads. Snake chooses the starting location. All right, let's see. When will everybody start loading in? I believe they're likely discussing All right, we have people spawning in. Let's go take a look at what they're bringing. I'm gonna hope the skins work, and I don't think the skins loaded in. Oh, I'll get a work on that at some point. Oh, we've got one skin and another. Let me grab a cheat sheet real quick. Pretty loud. I can adjust the game volume for you. The F-16s are reporting that the L is available when it should not be. And over on Snake's side, let's see what we've got in. We've got an F-14, a MiG-29A. They only have 5 planes here. Missing 1 at the moment. But 3 F-16s. Ah, look at these beautiful pink skins. I love me a good F-16 skin. I've got a very nice F-16 skin. They're bringing... So far, Snake Harmless is bringing 6 Sidewinders, 2 bags. A question on the F-16 is going to be whether to bring the 3 fuel tanks. 2 is almost certainly necessary if you want to conserve some fuel and get a little bit more playtime. The 3rd one, I wonder about. Personally, I think a potential strategy might be to bring the 3 tanks, set your transfer to wing first, and then before you get into combat, you ditch your wing bags, which isn't quite as easy as you would like, because you'll need to be in air-to-air master mode, nav master mode, or air-to-ground master mode. You can't be in the overrides, and you'll have to go through the select jettison process, versus if you just bring the wing tanks only, you can emergency jettison and get rid of it. And it'll only ditch those tanks you've got on board. Let's check out this. A bright pink F-14. Nice. It is clear Snake is not worried about standing out in the slightest here. Let's take a look at 28th again. We've got 2 MiG-29As, a 3rd MiG-29A, a 4th MiG-29A. Why do they start in different spots? Normally they start in a line, and 2 F-16s. F-16s have the Vanguard's skin. I'm glad to see the skins are working. I hope they're all working. I like this gun effect here. The smoke effect from the guns. It makes you think that they've been firing their guns a lot. Let's see if these F-16s can score any gun kills. The F-16 does have a phenomenal gun sight, in my opinion, but I'm a lot of biased because I'm an F-16 main pilot inside of the simulated world. We have a custom MiG-29 skin, but the other 2 MiG-29s don't seem to be running that skin. One of the MiG-29s is starting to taxi. Anyone else taxiing with him? Ah, they have mercs, so they're not using their skin. That makes sense. Excuse me while I attempt to fix some things on my end. As with the previous SATAC match that I casted, I'll be excited to see what the what the changes occur for strategies. I apologize, it appears my SRS has crashed. Let me get that booted back up. All right. Sorry, as I work out the kinks in the first couple matches. I don't have as many of these matches under my belt as Airshow does, so this is a new experience for me. But we'll work things out. See the MiG-29s taxiing and lining up. I do very much enjoy that part of the strategy here in SATAC is which planes line up and take off first, because wake turbulence is a factor. As a plane takes off, it creates a spiraling wake coming off the wingtips, and smaller aircraft taking off behind a larger aircraft may get impacted by that, and it can cause a significant amount of control issues. Some planes may just not even make it off the ground. Sometimes if you're taking off with something really small like an F-16 after an F-15 Eagle or an F-14 Tomcat, you might get thrown around like a leaf in the wind, and it is not an enjoyable time. For those of you who may be joining us and are not familiar with SATAC, this is a DCS, Digital Combat Simulator world. Oh, somebody has crashed on the runway. It's a good thing nobody's wheels up. They can respawn and get back in. It'll just delay the start of the match a little bit. But SATAC is a PvP tournament. We are in the, I think we would typically call it qualification rounds right now. So teams are scoring points through match wins currently. It's an interesting, oh, there's no LOD texture on that skin. That's interesting. But teams are currently competing. We're not in the knockout round yet. Matches are best 2 out of 3. So these teams are fighting to win 2 of the matches. And while we wait for them to ready up, I have a little bit of information I've gathered on both teams. So Snake here, that we're looking at currently, is a fairly new team. They were formed last February, and they're here to play just for fun. They placed 3rd in the DCS Super League Gen 3 tournament, and they get a lot of their practice by mainly playing on servers like Contention and Enigma/Heat Blur's Cold War. I haven't played on Contention too much, but I've been having a bit of fun on that server as well. It is a pretty good environment. I like it a bit more than other... while it is a PvP-focused server, it feels a little less focused on dogfighting, which makes things seem a little more natural to me. Let's go take a look at 28th Vanguards, and I'll read off what I've got on them. See Mad Dog taxiing quick. Vanguards has given me a nice long list of information for them. They were the first ever DCS squadron from Bangladesh. They're led from the front by Cougar. It's previously known as a base for player in SATAL, number 15 Squadron. Python is their 2nd squadron commander, but he could unfortunately not join us today. We have Mad Dog, Ghost, and Neil, who will be flying MiG-29Ss. It's an interesting fact is that most of the pilots from the squadron will be flying with mostly mouse and head trackers built using webcams. This is due to the shortage of good HOTAS components available in Bangladesh. So there is a difficulty Snake's Merc did not arrive, but we'll see how it goes. In these early matches, the skill differences between the teams can make up for a single aircraft being lost. 5 versus 6 makes it more interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, unfortunately, if their next person does arrive after this, after they are wheels up, they cannot join even for additional matches. Teams are limited to the number of airframes that they are bringing, and they must bring the same exact airframes. They can swap pilots around, but they cannot swap planes around. That dark blue is so hard for me to read. That rule is removed? Ah, okay. Sorry, I was not aware of that. Alright. Both teams are ready. Can switch planes. Okay, I didn't know that. Snakes down one pilot. Yeah, Snakes were planning on a mercenary, but their mercenary did not show up. So it is a 5 versus 6. 5 Snake versus 628. Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. Watch those MiG-29s light up their burners. Get rolling down the runway. That one's a little cockeyed, isn't he? Supposed to be pointing straight down the runway, aren't ya? I don't expect these MiG-29s to have any trouble with the wake turbulence from the previous ones. Planes of the same size typically don't have too much trouble with the wake turbulence. These F-16s will need to give it a nice long delay. Actually, MiG-29s are about the same size, so it may not be too bad. I see the MiG-29s and I keep thinking they're Su-27s, which are much, much heavier. Let's quickly hop over, try to catch Snake's takeoff. 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Did one of them wipe out on takeoff? Must have. I didn't catch if they were wheels up or not. F-14 climbing up. Let's look at this F-16. F-16 is already at 15,000 feet. It's going quite quick, 480 knots. The pink livery going well with the pink afterburner here. You know, I've done some testing with the F-16, and I find that it seems climbing in burner may actually be more efficient, loadout depending, than climbing in mill power. Or if not more efficient, it's at least a close tie. And getting up quick can be a bit of an advantage in this. Thrash is taking a corner on 2 wheels here. You gotta be careful with the F-16. It has about a 15 knot turn speed limit for good reason. Especially if you've got an asymmetric loadout, it can be a pain to turn the aircraft if you're going quick. Let's take a look at who will be first in the ring. I see the MiG-29s of Snake are about 20 miles out. The F-16 of... Or sorry, the MiG-29 of 28th is about 20 miles out. Snake is about 16. So Snake may get in there a bit quick. The F-16's using their speed advantage for sure. Now, I think the spread of aircraft in SATAC Cold War is interesting, as a lot of them have some advantages and drawbacks. The F-16, as an example, has a simpler to use radar than an aircraft like the F-4 Phantom and potentially the F-14, though I can't speak too well to that because I don't fly the F-14 myself. However, the F-16 doesn't get Fox 1 missiles, so it's only Sidewinders that the F-16 gets, which means it has to push the fight closer, but it does have the speed to potentially push that fight closer should the pilots choose to bonsai. The MiG-29 seems like a pretty strong contender for one of the most popular aircraft in SATAC Cold War. It gets some Fox 1 missiles, which allows it to start the fight a little further, potentially causing enemies to turn away. And it's got the speed that you could fire a Fox 1 to force an enemy to turn away and then just crank the engine and try to get in close. That makes it a deadly combo. And I believe the MiG-29 also has that the IR search and track, which can make it a silent and deadly combo. Meanwhile, the F-14 definitely is a popular aircraft for that really powerful radar it has, as well as its ability to carry 4 Fox 1 Sparrows and 4 Fox 2 Sidewinders. That is a missile payload, which can be an advantage, but it depends on the pilot a lot to make good use of those, particularly teamwork among the pilots, too. We see that Snake and 28th are both going high. One of their MiG-29s of Snake is even up at 42,000 feet. Both teams getting pretty high up there, 30,000, 20,000. It is... I would expect this to turn into a bit of a closer range grinder fight, depending on the tactics that these teams plan to use. Nemesis going supersonic here. And who's on their tail? Let me get a view of the rear aircraft so we can see them both. It is interesting seeing, at least in the F-14 heavy fights, the fights of SATAC Cold War are mirroring the normal SATAC style of fights. Two experienced teams seem to set up grinders, cap grinders, and sling missiles at each other, but they have to do it from closer range, which means that aircraft who would like to charge in and bonsai attack have a much greater chance of reaching it. Oh, somebody gets a free canoe, as Airshow always says. I'm going to steal a line from him, my SATAC mentor here. One has dropped its centerline fuel tank. The second, Amber, has not dropped their fuel tank yet. Now, I know a lot of people say that the MiG-29 doesn't have legs, but that is something that a lot of people have said about the F-16, and I generally consider them to be very wrong about the F-16, and I would suspect they're very wrong about the MiG-29 as well. The F-16 can get pretty far out if you know how to use your fuel just right. You gotta use your burner at the right times, conserve fuel when you can, but you can certainly burn through quite a bit of fuel, and you can go quite far on quite little fuel in an F-16 when you're returning to base. The F-16 also has the advantage of its excellent fuel computer to tell you exactly how to fly to get back with the most fuel preserved, which lets you mostly disregard the fuel consumption during a fight, so you can focus on the fight and not the fuel. MiG-29, I'm not too sure about that. I got to get my hands on a MiG-29 one of these days. I'm personally really excited for the full fidelity MiG-29A. When that comes out, I'm going to be learning that thing, and it'll be probably a steep learning curve, as I don't really know any other Eastern aircraft yet. We see 28th, their first 4 aircraft are all up at 40,000 feet. Snake's F-16, Juopo, I hope I'm saying his name right, or their name right. Their F-16 is diving down. This is one of the strategies I think is potentially a good one for F-16s. The F-16 does handle quite well at low altitudes. I've proven that a couple times over. And you can really get close to the terrain if you are a good F-16 pilot, and you can blend in with some of this terrain. If there's a mountain between you and the other radar, they cannot see you. Yeah, the cloud soup, it's a little brave to be flying this low in this soup, but the visibility looks okay, and the F-16's maneuverability, the instantaneous turn rates that it can pull, is going to lend it to their ability to maneuver around these mountains at close range when they can't see all that far out. Two teams are closing in. We're going to have to take a good look at... Oh, the first missile is off the rails. SATAC fires at Nemesis. I could remember my controls. I apologize. An R-27R. It looks like it has lost track. But there's 2 R-27s coming in on SATAC. It looks like SATAC turned away to avoid it. Although I think he's duped this one. Has he duped the second one? There's already several missiles flying in the air here. I think this one is still on, but it's below him and may not have the energy. He's got to turn just right to avoid this one. Oh, he may have just barely kinetically defeated this one. It's flying in formation with him. That was a close call. It's always nerve-wracking when you're flying in formation with a missile. A-50s, is there Link 16? There is no Link 16. I believe the only aircraft that gets data link in this is the F-14's fighter-to-fighter data link. But don't quote me on that, I'm not sure. Late fired an AM-9 and missed. We've got Harmless on the tail of Nemesis. These matches get really hectic real quick, and it can be hard to follow what's going on if we get in close. Harmless fired a Sidewinder. Oh, but gets taken out by, I think, Cooker. Another pair is fought. Nemesis took out Snake. Harmless. Oh, but Harmless got Nemesis back. They traded. 28th has their 2 F-16s not even in this fight yet. They're going to be committing probably at just the right moment to really bring in the hammer down on Snake. Amber's fired an R-27 on something, but it's gone wide. At these low altitudes that these guys are at, it can be quite hard for AWACS to spot things out, and with this weather, it can be really hard to spot things. It'll depend a lot on how much radar they're using, because as much as radar will help you spot the enemy, radar will give away to your position to the enemy. Your radar warning receiver will light up like a Christmas tree and tell you, hey, there's a guy behind you. You should do something about that. I think SATAC has vectored onto Amber here. Let's take a look. Maybe not. SATAC is still high in the sky, not pouncing down on Amber. SATAC may be looking at these 2 F-16s that are coming in. Late and Snake Cooker are appearing to be completely oblivious to each other's locations. An AIM-9 is launched. Is this going towards SATAC? Oh, it's got a lock. Oh. No, there's no way. It just does not have the legs for that. Some extreme range. SATAC was killed, or SATAC killed MiG-29, VNG Ghost. Got a winder coming in on SATAC though, and he takes the missile. It's 4 versus 2. Snake has an aim 7 in on, Late has an aim 7 on Snake Cooker. I think this is going to be kinetically defeated, though. Yeah, it's a bit too slow. Oh, but another missile streaks in and splashes him. Late gets... Yeah, Late gets a kill on Snake Cooker. And while we were watching that, Jupo got Amber with an AIM-9 P5. Best pilots fly MiGs and flankers. Well, then why are there F-16s and an F-14 left? Snake fired an AIM-7 at Nail, but that one, there's no way that has track, right? No. AIM-9 in on Late. I think Late just, yeah, Late took a hit. Late, I think, is, yeah, counted as dead. 28th has taken out Snake, and they just have to return to base. Yeah, at this point, I don't think I would discount any of the aircraft in the SATAC Cold War lineup. I think there is a decent amount of potential in most of them. Maybe not the MiG-21. The MiG-21 would definitely be an uphill battle. I think a MiG-29 would have pretty much every advantage over it. Make sure to clarify, return to own base. There's another competition I've been told that's running where you return to the enemy's base. We want to not waste some of their fuel. Second, I thought he just ejected, but that's a blue F-16 pilot there. MiG-21 has its sexy points. The MiG-21s are sexy. I need to learn how to fly the MiG-21 a bit better. I know the bare minimums of it, but I don't really know how to fight in it. But it is a fun aircraft. It is a rocket strapped to some wings, and boy, does it go fast. This is certainly some soupy weather to be landing in. Let's see if we can't. That's it. The weather at low level looks fine, so landing shouldn't be too much of a problem for 28th. In SATAC, it is required to land at your own base after defeating the enemy team to count as a win. Otherwise, it counts as a draw. So it's not enough to just kill the enemies. You have to have enough fuel maintained to return, and you have to be able to nurse any damage to your airframe back. Mad Dog here has fired just about all of their missiles. Only one Sidewinder left on this airframe. Oh, and there is a centerline pylon. I wonder if they brought a centerline fuel tank. Yeah, Nail has one too. The centerline fuel tank can definitely be a significant advantage to the F-16. Again, as I've said, if you bring the wing tanks and you transfer from the wing tanks first, you can ditch those, and without the wing tanks, you'll have a better roll rate. And with the underlined center tank, you get a little less drag than the side tanks. However, there's a downside. The wing tanks will ditch the entire pylon, while the center tank still maintains its pylon. Or actually, wait, did they not? They might not have brought the wing pylons, because I can't remember if the wing pylons actually, the wing tanks ditch with their entire pylon or not. Just look at the F-16. Isn't it such a happy looking jet? It looks so excited to have fought in this match. They didn't bring them. That's what I'm thinking. You can get away with just the centerline tank, and that for SATAC I think may be an advantage. The only alternative of what you could bring on that center pylon anyway is the jammer, and the jammer is not allowed in SATAC Cold War. No jamming is allowed. Now, as somebody who knows a fair bit about the F-16, I can go over some differences between this F-16 and the F-16A that we're mimicking here. Let's see if I can't. So the F-16 has a pair of MFDs. The F-16C has a pair of MFDs. The F-16A that we're trying to mimicking in SATAC Cold War really has a radar display at the bottom of the center console. The left on the dashboard here has a text multifunction display. It's just a bunch of seven segment displays to manage your store system and other information from the aircraft. You don't have the ICP or the data entry display that are up here. All of the gauges from the center console are on the right in the F-16A. So what this means is that an F-16A has a little bit worse situational awareness. You don't get access to the horizontal situation display that you normally have, where you can stick a whole set of waypoints on it for your situational awareness. With that, you could very easily see which way is north. Instead, your navigation is done entirely through the horizontal situation indicator that is that center screen in the center console here. You select which waypoint you want to go to, and it points a needle towards it. Another factor the F-16 does have as an advantage, the F-16A, or the F-16C has an advantage over an A. It has an IFF interrogator. The F-16A did not come with an IFF interrogator. On the Block 50, the enhanced IFF interrogator is this set of antennas here on the nose, also known as the bird slicers affectionately. There are some A variants which got these as well. I believe those were the National Guard ones, the National Guard F-16s, which also got the capability to fire AM-7 Sparrows. And then the other advantage that we have on an F-16C versus an A is the gun sight. And the gun sight is a massive advantage if you've played with the older gun sights. I don't think they're modeled in DCS though. The current gun sight on the C is the EEGS gun sight. It is a funnel with some additional data, so the gun sight will give you a funnel that is calibrated to your target's wingspan. You can set it to your target wingspan. If you put the tips of the wings to the edge of the funnel and you fire, you should hit the target. You will have to do a little bit of a pull to put a line of bullets through the target, though, to ensure a kill. And that's without a radar lock. If you get a radar lock, you get an indicator of where you need to put the crosshair on the target in addition to the funnel. And then you have a plus and a minus symbol indicating the maximum in-plane capability of maneuvering the target can have. It's an estimated maximum. And then you also have some sideways bars which estimate the maximum out-of-plane maneuvering potential. So when you're using that sight to its maximum, it gives you a significant amount of information with a very little clutter on your screen. You can really use it to predict how the enemy can move if they're going to move. And it's definitely a much better experience than the previous gun sights the F-16 has. The A, I believe, just has a line for a gun sight. It's a string that you have to put on the target. And it is not an easy gun sight to use compared to the EEGS. The EEGS is by far a superior gun sight. The Snake Path, yes. It is not a fun sight to use in the slightest. It has similar amounts of information, but I can't get it to work for the life of me too well. The gun funnel is much easier. Alright, we'll get to do my favorite DCS pastime, and that is judging landings, particularly F-16 landings. Looks like Nail is coming in for an overfly, potentially. Take a look from the underbelly here. I cannot quite yet see the airfield. Can you guys make it out? Weather's a big factor. Weather is always a big factor. In SATAC, teams do not fight in the sunny, cloudless skies of the sim world. They fly in randomized weather conditions. The weather conditions do include temperature, cloud cover, and generally weather. So it can be raining, it can be foggy, it can be cloud cover, it can be cold, it can be hot. And cold versus hot makes a difference in the engine performance and what your jets can do. But the other team does get all those advantages. Look over his shoulder at the runway. Is he turning in yet? He's making his loop around. You can see the runway there. Oh, the runway is not lit up. The air traffic control is shirking their duties here. So after a hard-fought match, they have to come in for probably not the hardest landing ever, but this is definitely not ideal, not even having any runway lights illuminated. I will say, though, there's a little bit of a trick you can do in the F-16, even if you don't have ILS to help with low visibility landings. You can put a steer point right on the end of the runway, And then the F-16 has its flight path marker, its 2.5 degree down pitch line for landing, and its AOA bracket. You just put that 2.5 degree line on your steer point that's on the end of the runway. You put the flight path marker on it, and you put that inside the AOA bracket, and you'll land just fine. It should get you within visual, close enough to the runway to land. It's not as surefire as ILS, but it's good enough. Turning in on final, it looks like. Dropping flares. Flares and barrel rolls. Acceleration. Not going for the landing. Are they gonna form up, or is Mad Dog gonna land it? Oh, Mad Dog looks like they are on. They're braking for final. Aileron roll. Technicality, technicality. All right, the moment of judgment is here. And thankfully, Mad Dog does not have any Easter egg pictures in his speed brakes. It is funny to see some of the teams with their Easter eggs on their aircraft liveries. Many team members will have their own individual livery. Well, he's a bit off alignment, but I think he'll bring it over good enough. Floating a little far. Oh, he's touching down outside of the touchdown zone. But it's a gentle landing and a gentle rotation down. All right, let's go take a look at how Nail is going to land. Nail's got their brakes out. Oh, the runway lights are now on. Somebody went over and gave the air traffic controllers a bit of a kick in the leg to turn the lights on. AOA is a little bit low at 7 degrees. Coming in a bit fast, but if you're a light loaded F-16 and you've got enough runway, a bit fast is not too much of an issue. 10 degree AOA. And another gentle touchdown. Let me get the scoreboard set up here. That is 1 for 28th Squadron. We will reset for the next match. One second as I try to check something out. All right, everybody's loading in again. Teams have swapped sides. Snake is now at Sukumi. You can see everybody loading up their munitions. And there's another MiG-29. Oh, we have 28 F-16s are bringing the wing bags this time, at least. No, I'm still not sure if they brought them last time. We'll see. If they jettisoned with the pylon. I didn't think they jettisoned with the pylon. They should keep the pylon. Another MiG-29 Ghosts skin here. Take a nice close look at the aircraft while we can. The those those are the gear doors. over there on the side, right against the hull with that light. We've got the FOD door closed and the top vents open for this one. This engine's starting up. The F-16s are full on, ready to roll. Maybe some INS alignment going on. You're opening your canopies, you're going to get your cockpit full of water. Actually, the real Bangladesh MiG-29 library. Let me... Oh, you mean the pink one, right? You mean... Oh, wait. That's the wrong plane. You mean this one, right? The real Bangladesh library? No, the blue one. Yeah, the blue one. I know. I gotta make my jokes where I can. I think it was... Nope. It tickles my heart seeing so many F-16s as a unapologetic F-16 plan. Oh, no, don't get stuck in the mud, Although he does have time to respawn should he need to. This library is a real Bangladesh one. Snakes F-16s, they are very good. I should start a poll of who's got the best style. There you go. Vote on the team with the best style. Personally, I think SATAC should have an award for the team with the best style, both in flying and in liveries, though I suspect 51st PVO will have an unfair advantage there, as their flying formation style is just so good. It is quite hard to match. 29s lining up. The F-16s taxiing out with their canopies open. It is a bit of a shame we're not seeing more F-4 Phantoms, but I do understand the F-4 Phantom can be a bit of a handful to fly. In the rain, yeah, they're getting their flight suits soaked here. That can't be comfortable. This note sheet I have here says left shift plus F4 for ace combat camera. Ah, I see. I have never played Ace Combat, so I have no idea what that is supposed to mean. All right, I see we have some more people joining in, so let me just explain a bit. This is SATAC. This is a PvP flight sim competition in the flight sim DCS world. It is a tournament setup. We're in the qualification matches right now. We have Team Snake versus 28th Squadron. They're lining up, getting ready to take off here. Snake says they are ready. We just need the ready from 28th. They're all lined up and getting ready to go. Once they get in the air, I'll explain the rest of the rules. Is the Cold War? Yeah, this is the Cold War version. So the aircraft involved are primarily Cold War era aircraft. The main ones we're seeing here today are F-14s, MiG-29s, and F-16s. There are other aircraft which are allowed, but they just are not in this match right now. We've seen some F-4 Phantoms. We saw some people bring a Viggen, and we see the Mirage F-1, but some of these aircraft are pretty hard to beat. These 4th-gen fighters that just early on appear in the Cold War, or late on appear in the Cold War, early on for the period that we're in here. '28 wants 2 more minutes. They can take, I think, as much time as they want. Just get ready. It's likely some last-minute rearming going on. No harms here. Somebody is asking for an AGM-88 harm missile. I do not know why they'd want to bring that, and I believe in normal SATAC rules, air-to-ground munitions are forbidden. Alright, both teams are ready. Huh? Something came up for 28th. Let me bring this chat window where I can actually read the dark blue text here. Let me double check that both teams are ready. 28th is ready. All right. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go. I think I want to quickly run over to Snake and watch their takeoffs because we didn't see their takeoff last time. Is that a F-14, the MiG-29, another MiG-29, an F-16? F-14 going first is an interesting option because it creates such a massive wake turbulence with its giant ass, because the F-14 is a massive plane. Pretty pink skins. I know, I'm quite fond of the pretty pink skins. Oh! Septic encountering a bit of wake turbulence. That is what you have to be careful for. And if you're not ready for wake turbulence, it can be extraordinarily jarring and really difficult to deal with. Aircraft like the F-16 and the MiG-29, being smaller than some of the other options, are pretty susceptible to wake turbulence. However, if they're a pretty light loadout, they can push through it. I've had a couple times where I've just pointed the nose up in an F-16 and keep the throttle going and hope for the best, and you can get out of it sometimes. All right, let's go take a look at 28th over here. 29s are forming up. They have their formation lights on so that they can find each other. Close formation flying is going to be a challenge in this kind of weather. We have a beautiful picture here of a pair of MiG-29s flying with the sun blocked out by clouds, and it looks quite good. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Come on, guys, nestle up a little closer so I can get a better shot. But Ghost here is been cranking on the burner, trying to keep up. Actually, I think he's trying to nestle into position. Gonna overshoot, probably. Who do we have over there formation flying? Another pair of MiG-29s? They're already up at 26,000 feet and contrailing. Both of them with their burners full on, racing into combat. We have Snake about 12 miles from the circle, while 28th is about 14, so Snake may get into the circle first. It looks like 28th is trying to flank a bit north. Now let's get you guys a bit more contrast here. MiG-29s for the win. MiG-29s seem to be the fan favorite. Let's get another poll up in here. Which aircraft is everyone's favorite of this match? F-16, F-14, MiG-29. I'll once again say I cannot wait to get my hands on a full fidelity MiG-29. That will be a complete riot. 51st is biased towards red. I mean, and I'm biased towards the F-16, so it works out, right? Snake's F-14 is about to cross into the circle, just 2 miles out. But the MiG-29, two of the MiG-29s from 28th are not too far behind. Snake 1-2 late is the first to enter the ring. All right, for those of you who have not seen SATAC before, the rules are that teams are 6 versus 6. They enter the ring, and they must once an aircraft enters the ring, they must not leave the ring until the enemy team is destroyed. Once a team has destroyed the enemy team, all of their fighters, they can return to their own, or they must return to their own base to secure a victory. Should a team destroy the other team and fail to return, it becomes a draw. You like the pink F-16 skins? The pink F-16 skins certainly are... I like this pattern they have on them. It looks very good. Looks kind of like a snake. This F-16 burning and burning. Looks like... it looks like Harmless did not bring the wing bags for the F-16. Or that was not Harmless, I don't think. That was Thrash. The F-16 is an aircraft that is very sensitive to its loadout. Just the pylons alone can create a significant amount of drag and reduce the turn performance quite noticeably. At least somebody who's been flying the F-16 for a while, you can notice it pretty well. So it's a hard balance between how much fuel you bring versus how much reduction in drag you want. And again, the F-16 is pretty notoriously known as being an aircraft without too long of legs. It can't go too far with its internal fuel. Internally, it carries about 7,000 pounds. That is, depending on your application, honestly a decent amount of fuel. You can go quite far if you fly that efficiently, but that is not a very long combat time you have. An F-16 in a dogfight is going to be using its burner for the most part. To achieve your ideal turning speed in an F-16, you're going to have to be up at around 450 knots. Most altitudes, same speed for your turning speed. Ideally, you'll be pulling about 6 Gs, 450 knots at your corner speed. You're going to need burner to maintain that, and you'll adjust how hard on your stick you're pulling. So you just ram the throttle forward and you pull the stick to maintain that speed, or you let up on it to maintain that speed. Are they being fed radar info? Both teams have a ground-controlled intercept, or an AWACS, as it may be called in other terminology. So these A-50s are actually providing the radar source to find the enemy aircraft in their own aircraft. GCI, as far as I understand, is using LOT ATC, and both your own and enemy aircraft can drop off the radar due to being being occluded from the radar by the mountains. So if you're flying really low and there's a mountain between you and the enemy's AWACS, they can't see you. You disappear. So that is a challenge. In the last match that I casted, Nuts versus LYS, the LYS team was making use of the heavily mountainous terrain on the map that they got to try to avoid being spotted by Nuts' GCI and appear at proper locations to try to take out the Nuts players. But GCI vectoring can only get you so far. You still have to use your Mark 1 eyeball or your radar to spot enemies. Which one you use is going to depend on how stealthily you want to be in your aircraft. The two sides are converging on each other, only 20 miles out. In standard SATAC, we'd have missiles in the air by now, but we might have a little bit more time before that happens. Yeah, and the other difficulty is that the GCI is a human GCI, and they are on a singular radio channel, so comms can get hectic if you're stepping on each other, if everybody's trying to ask, where's that guy? Where's this guy? Where is he? Where is he? You still have to have good situational awareness. I wonder what Juopo is doing here. Dave from Microsoft is bearing down on him. He might be putting himself in a bad position, but he might also be bait, trying to get the 28th Squadron to overextend themselves and put themselves in a bad position. And again, Snake here is down one member. Their mercenary did not show up. Oh, I am missing the weapon labels. I didn't see that kill. We've got missiles flying galore. Dave from Microsoft took out late already. You have an R-27 coming in on Jupo. I think that missile just got defeated. But AM-9 from Jupo in on John from Amazon. Will Amazon survive the missile hit? No, he doesn't even... Oh! Yeah, it hit him. Just barely. And we got an R-27 in on Amber. Well, Amber does not dodge it. These missiles are coming too quick for me to keep up with. We've got one coming in. And it splashes Amber. Snake has even the odds already, but they're going to be down some missiles, which may still put them at a disadvantage. Jupo fires an AM-9M. Or an AM-9P5, sorry. I misread that. And I don't think it tracked. Snake and Jupo are in close proximity to each other. They are in a dogfight, and Jupo fired an AM-9 and splashes their bandit. It is now 3 versus 2. Snake has turned this around. Let's see if they can keep it up. The two F-16s that 28th seems to be holding in reserve are coming in. They're going to have a bit more work to do this time than last time. Last time they were kind of the hammer to the anvil of Snake. They're not going to have as easy of a time at that. And Jen fires an R-27. It is still tracking. I think it has lost the lock. We missed Jupo getting taken out by Mad Dog. But Jen is right on Nail. We see Nail pre-flaring. Oh, but Nail gets taken out by Alamo. Uh-oh. DCS is having technical difficulties. Let's hope it will recover. Please bear with me. It appears Stepbro has hit Nail so hard it has crashed my game. I really apologize for that. I will try to get this back up and running as quick as possible. Dreaming SATAC needs Super Machine, yeah. DCS is a difficult game to run. Anybody who's familiar with my channel will probably know my heartaches with trying to get DCS to run nicely, particularly with other streaming programs up. You have to make some cuts to get it to run nice. But there's just no other game that can get you just as excited as DCS if you are a flyboy like me. I was gonna say rotorhead, but not. What's the plain equivalent of a rotorhead? A winghead? All right, oh, OBS has got to catch up. I apologize for that. It looks like Snake has turned the tide of the battle and has won this this round. They just need to come back and land. This is exciting. Getting a 1-to-1 match so early on is not typically common. You guys are in for a good time. It all comes down to the third round, assuming that Snake can land one of their planes. And I apologize also that I've had some technical difficulties with TacView. I've not been able to get it up and running with the live feed. I'll be sure to get that figured out before the next SATAC match I cast. So unfortunately, we'll not be able to go back and review what happened unless I can get a TacView file passed off to me, maybe. But I don't think anyone's around for that, and I'm not gonna bug the organizers for that right now. They're kind of busy. Look at the pink F-16 though. You know, pink is a very lucky color. The Pink Panthers made use of it in World War II, even. All right, hold on a second. I've got another technical difficulty on my end. This one should be easy to fix. My track IR has, yes, stopped working, but it got rebooted. Gotta conserve fuel in the F-16. I think it really depends. The F-16 can get quite far on quite little fuel. I know in my time in BMS, you have quite a bit of, okay, we've got a TAC view file from Technetium. Let me try to pull that up real quick. Uh-oh, this TAC view file looks to be incomplete. Yep, that is an unfortunate additional technical difficulty. I apologize for that. But the F-16, you can get quite far on quite a small amount of fuel if you know how to fly it. I've personally, in my primary flight sim Falcon BMS, I've flown the F-16 across the Korean Peninsula on less than 1,500 pounds of gas. So you can get it going quite far. And new players burn fuel like a luxury. That has been my experience. An F-16 at low altitude, only internal fuel, can burn through the entirety of its internal fuel on afterburner in just a couple minutes. It leaves many people wishing for more fuel in the F-16, but if you know what you're doing, you can manage it. In larger scale operations, air-to-air refueling can definitely mitigate a lot of the trouble you'd have, but we don't really have air-to-air refueling in SATAC. Or we just don't at all. I don't know if that would fit in at all. They are asking if they can skip the landing. The 28th is asking if they can just concede this point to the other team to skip the landing. Oh, somebody's jettisoned a canopy. They have to land. All right, Technetium says no. Howdy there, air show. The Fulcrum's speeding off ahead to go land, potentially. I can definitely feel for 28th. A lot of these teams are playing at odd hours of the night. If 28 is in Bangladesh, I can't imagine what time they're on, what time it is right now. It must be like 2 a.m. for them. You got to feel for these teams that are playing at odd hours. All right, it looks like we are going to officially, 28th is conceding this round to Snake. We'll count a point for Snake without the landing required. (10:30 p.m. on a Sunday. Yeah, I can feel that. It's difficult, especially if you have jobs in the morning. There we go. Airshow has given me the secret sauce, so we will have for this last round, we will have live TAC view telemetry. This will help me out a bit with keeping track of what's going on, so we can look at what's going on, and I can still see on TAC view who's firing missiles where, and I can be ready for it when we're jumping between views. I have a third monitor up. I've ripped my MFD displays off of my third monitor to display TAC view for this. Tech said they're restarting, but I don't see it restarting yet. There we go. Pull up a satellite view here. Lumberines versus 08 match happening today. I have no idea right now. Uh-oh, Jupo is reporting technical difficulties. They have dropped coffee in their lap. That is an almost entirely debilitating technical difficulty. We will hope Jupo can perform just as well in this next match as they did the previous. All right, we've got 28th spawning in here. Playback was not synchronized with real time. Oops. That fixed up real quick. I am requesting a gun kill, and Stepbro has responded that he sucks with guns. I can feel that. The F-16s and MiG-29s, such prominent adversaries nestled so close together right now. How far will it let me pan this camera? Let's find out. We're still anchored to the F-16 on the right. God, I just love the sound of engine. The sound of jet engines spooling up is just so good. Let's take a look at Snake over in the south. Oh, Snake is up to, I count, 6 planes. Did they have 6 planes last round? I forget. I might be bad at counting. Let you see those pink F-16 skins? Here you go. There's 3 F-16s in one shot. One of them is doing turns. Harmless is demonstrating that even though the F-16 is not a Navy jet and does not have high gain steering, it can still turn pretty much on a dime. It's a common feature that people underestimate about the F-16. It can turn itself out of some tough situations. If your nose is not touching, if you're up against a wall and your nose is not touching it, you can generally, if you're careful with a little bit of differential braking and full nose wheel, you can turn yourself out of it pretty well. Now, that is no match to the Harrier or the Viggen, which have thrust reversers and can just reverse themselves away from the wall. But those planes do not seem to be too popular for SATAC. Actually, I don't think the Harrier is allowed at all in Cold War. The Harrier is a fun aircraft that can do some pretty interesting shenanigans in a dogfight. often referred to as tricks you can only do once against a given enemy pilot before they catch on. That thrust vectoring, your nozzles you can bring to give yourself a little bit extra turn rate and a much tighter turning radius. But you gotta not forget the nozzles, because if they're past about 20 degrees, you can't fire any weapons. And that has gotten me a fair number of times. Arnolis has decided to stop spinning in front of the other F-16s and is going out to meet the rest of the aircraft, and I forgot to check. Snake has not brought a tank at all, although it is a common practice in SATAC to, after you've finished your taxiing and you've lined up, to request a rearm and a refuel. If you, on the F-16, if you load the tanks up and you start draining fuel from the tanks and you request a refueling, the tanks will not get refueled typically. There's a way you can work around it, but it can be quite slow. So typically the best way to do a refuel of the wing tanks and the center tank is to just request the ground crew remove them and then put them back on. I love the shot of those MiG-29s sitting in the background behind the taxiway, waiting for everybody else to line up. I wonder why the F-14 is doing that. We'll just have to make sure we stay zoomed in on the F-14 to prevent it from turning green. 28th has their F-16s just about finished taxiing up to the runway. Hold on, is 28th short a plane? It looks like they are. All right, Snake is ready. Let's watch the beautiful pink F-16s take off one more time. I am certainly biased, but I do love me a good F-16 skin. The two F-16s are nestled close together here. Ready for takeoff. Snake and 28th are ready. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. Oh, don't go off the runway, don't go off the runway, uh-oh, uh-oh. Oh, but he saves it. Oh, wake turbulence is getting thrashed. There's a danger of taking off in close proximity to an F-14. Like I say, the F-16 is such a small aircraft, such a small wingspan, you gotta be very careful about wake turbulence. Let's take a look over at 28th here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're still getting off the airfield. Oh, so you got some wake turbulence as well. It makes me really wonder why more teams don't put the F-16s first in their takeoff order. It's going to be interesting to see how this match plays out, because the first round, Snake was down a member, but now Snake has all 6 members, and 28th is down a member. We go back to the satellite view to get some better contrast here for everybody to see. I'm trying to figure out where on this TAC view bullseye, where exactly our ring is so I can zoom this in right. All right, who's got the best formation flying? 28th is flying formation again, MiG-29s. That's not the view I wanted. Extend the takeoff for those in front. Yep, that is another strategy. Wake turbulence while you're on the runway is not nearly as deadly as once you rotate and start getting up in the air. On the runway with an F-16, it'll still throw you around, but if you're quick on the pedals, you can take over. You can keep her straight enough to stay on the runway. MiG-29 using afterburner. Yep. This is the match between 28th Squadron and Snake. They are neck and neck. We're going into the 3rd round here to see who wins the match. Out of fuel in 30 seconds. I don't believe that to be true. People say the same thing about the F-16, but I fly the F-16 all the time and manages fuel quite well. It's all down to how much you're using the burner and at what altitude you're using the burner. A nice close formation of MiG-29s, certainly worth the camera time here. Let's see what Snake is up to. Snake's F-16 with no fuel tank and going full burner. This is actually, that might not... No, that is full burner. Is a bold move. He might have had a centerline fuel tank. I didn't check for it. I forgot to check for it on takeoff. But if you take off with full burner, that centerline fuel tank will be burned out pretty quick. Team getting footage for the TikTok edit, of course, of course. Thrash is burning as fast as can be. 770 knots. I think, let's see if Taki will tell us what their speed is. Mach 1.3 almost. And he's up at 40,000 feet. Excuse me, sir, but this is a plane, not a spaceship. You're not supposed to be up that high. Don't know if he plans on making it back alive. That is an option for strategy. However, It's not a very popular one, as you do need at least one aircraft to return to your airfield to score the point. '28th is in close formations for all of their aircraft, MiG-29s and the F-16s. I wonder if they're attempting to appear as one contact on GCI, potentially hoping to confuse or throw off the guys from Snake. Looks like 28th is flanking around the side. Both teams aren't closing with the same velocity as they were before. Thrash has dropped quite drastically. I bet he's not in burner anymore. Yeah, he's in probably mill power right now. Actually, 28th appears to be speeding up, going south. I wonder what their intent is. Do they want to play in the mountains? There are some mountains at the south end of the map, but it is not a very big area. There's more mountains in the north end, with a lot more change in elevation. Meanwhile, Snake is spreading out, Stepbro and Late going north, while the rest of the team is kind of blobbing together here in the middle. Could be riskier too. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the best strategies are in SATAC Cold War quite yet. High altitude Fox 1 slinging is a pretty good strategy, but low altitude might have some capability. I think particularly if you've got a good distraction, having a quick maneuverable aircraft like an F-16 or a MiG-29 pop up from low altitude can be a great surprise. It can, if you can actually manage to stay completely off the other team's radar so they don't even know you're there, you can really cause some chaos by popping right into their formation. You're almost certainly going to die, but you're going to distract people probably long enough for you to get some good shots in on them. And a little bit of context that I've forgotten to say multiple times here. The missiles in this are almost entirely Fox 1s or Fox 2s. There are no Fox 3s. And what does that mean? Well, a Fox 2 is a heat-seeking missile. That's pretty straightforward. It's typically a close-range missile. It sees the heat signature of the enemy jet, and you fire it at it, and it tracks it. We see Jupo here is actually diving down quite fast. Going low. Going low is a hard strategy also, I forgot, because of the weather. But the other missiles that you can fire in this competition are Fox 1s. Fox 1s are semi-active radar guided, I think. They need guidance from the firing aircraft's radar. So we can see here, Snake just fired this R-27. He might be approaching his gimbal limits. If Septic's radar is not staying locked on his target, this missile will not guide. It has no self-guidance whatsoever. But 28th slings a pair of R-27s. I think those are going to be kinetically defeated. They're quite far away. You can see on the map at the bottom of the stream, that is the live view from TAC view right now. This R-27 certainly has lost lock. Septic isn't even supporting it at all. There's no way it'll track. So, unlike a Fox 3 missile, which can guide itself, if you can get the enemy jet to turn away, that missile won't hit you. Unless you're really, really unlucky. But that's very improbable. Snake Thrash fires an AM-9M. Are we gonna get any kills over here? They've exchanged a number of missiles, but none hit yet. There's a Sidewinder coming in on Thrash, though, but I think he's evaded it. Oh, but he catches one of them. Those F-16s, Mad Dog and Nail, have slung so many Sidewinders. I wonder how many they have left. Mad Dog has 1, and Nail has actually 5 left. Harmless is coming in on Amazon. Amazon is pre-flaring. Oh, but Harmless takes a Sidewinder, I think. There's an AM-9 trying to catch Amazon, but it's not quite enough. Jupo fires an AM-9 on Amazon and hits, and splashes him. It's now 4v4 as the North group from Snake is coming in to support. Jupo's in a bad spot with Amber's MiG-29 on their butt. An AM-7 is fired from Snake, but I'm not sure that's a supported missile. Let's see if it's tracking. It was tracking, and it splashed him. It splashed Ghost. SATAC has an R-27. There's an a Sidewinder coming in. It's so hard to click on Nail. Just in time to barely see Nail get splashed. Jupo is coming after Amber, but oh, they see him. He fired an AM-9 and splashed Nail. SATAC is on the tail of Mad Dog. How will this fight turn out? He fires a missile with probably a Sidewinder or an R-60. Yeah, R-60, notoriously bad payload in DCS right now. It looks like... Oh. Mad Dog is technically killed, but was still flying around. R-60s are in an unfortunate position. They require multiple missiles oftentimes to score a kill. Pilot snipe potentially, yeah, there's that, or it could be damaged enough systems that the plane was eventually going to go down, but not quite yet. And it looks like Snake has won the 3rd round. They just have to make it back to base. SATAC matches are always the most exciting when they go into the 3rd round, because that means the teams have a relatively even skill set. I need, sorry, I'm trying to potentially plan. I might be picking up the next match today. Yeah, it should be 1800 Zulu time, which is at about an hour. Snake doing some formation flying on their return. Let's take a look at these MiG-29s. Why is it always pointing out the rear? See the other jets just a bit ahead. All right, we can pull up the TAC view and take a look at everything that happened in this fight. So the first missile, as we saw before, was an R-27R fired by SATAC. And we can see in full 3D all the maneuvers of everybody going on at the same time, which is one of the best advantages of TAC view. A pair of R-27ERs, or R-27Rs came back in towards Snake, but it doesn't look like they tracked. And Thrash here, as we'd suspected, kind of came in bonsaiing the enemy team. Fired one AIM-9, one Sidewinder, but it did not manage to track the targets. While Mad Dog truly went Mad Dog and fired off a whole host of Sidewinders in return. That is a ton of missiles, but if you can score a kill, it may be worth the trade. Let's see where Thrash caught that missile. Or not quite that. Oh, it might just be a little bit of desync. It looks like that missile hit it, but desync on TAC view tracks does happen. From here, Jupo was on the tail of John from Amazon, firing an AM-9. It missed, and the second one hit, and he splashed him. But then, Amber was on Jupo's tail. Jupo was in a bit of a tough position, but it doesn't look like 28th was able to put quite the pressure on that they could have. Looks like Nail was not keeping situational awareness, didn't know where Jupo was. But the R-60s from Amber were not able to hit Jupo, and Jupo fired an AM-9, another Sidewinder at Nail. Jupo here is in a 2-on-1 and was fighting for their life. The F-16 can absolutely be a monster in BFM if you underestimate it and you do not give it its proper care. And here, Jupo shows exactly why. Let's get a reading on some of this telemetry here. Indicated airspeed about 600 knots. 500, drops to about 400. So Jupo starts out a bit fast, just pulls hard, using the F-16's instantaneous turn rate capabilities to turn the tide here and get this snapshot. Snapshots with winders is one of the areas where the F-16 really does excel. Man, I forgot that word for a minute. The F-16 really does excel with snapshots with sidewinders. It's quite great at that. And you can see here that Jupo's starting to get pretty slow. They're down at about 230 knots. This is a speed where the F-16 is really not going to have a great time. But you can manage if you've got a light enough loadout. You can ride the edge of that stall and still turn. It's generally not a great idea in my experience, because it tends to, you have a tendency to just get too slow, you lose all your energy. But if there's no one else around, you can't afford to lose that energy. So that's the fight we missed while we were watching some of the other fights going on. You see Ghost here coming in at Snake. Ghost fires an R-27, but it doesn't track. Or, no wait, sorry, it is tracking Snake, but it loses the lock with very little distance between them. "98 feet. Yeah, 98 feet at its closest point. That is a heck of a close call. But we see that Snake came in, or no, an AIM-7 from late got Ghost. Then Septic was on Mad Dog, an R-27ER, kinetically defeated. And then the R-60s we saw at the very end. 1 hit and 2 hits, and he's dead. They are flying in incredibly tight formation here. Oh, now they're spreading out. Just when I come back to take a look. Oh, he's firing a missile. It's gotta be a scary moment in that F-16, having a missile fired right past you. They are engaging in a rolling scissors. I'm getting dizzy here. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Somebody actually going for a guns kill? Please do not friendly the fire. MiG-29 and F-16, notoriously famous adversaries. They have similar performance characteristics, but typically an F-16 can outturn MiG-29. It'll typically outrate at both with both aircraft at their maximum performance corner speed. But the fight is often close enough that loadout and fuel can be a determining factor, assuming two equally skilled pilots. All right, who's gonna land first? Septic. We're just about to miss his landing, but we caught it right in time. He touches down nice and gently. Who's next? Is that Late coming in next? It looks like he might be in the groove, unless Jupo here is gonna do something. Jupo's fallen like a leaf. Is Jupo gonna try to cowboy land this thing? It's a bold move. He's gonna land it like a Navy jet here. But I don't think he'll have enough runway to come to a stop. The F-16 has a notoriously long landing distance. He's 100 knots. He might just make it. That is probably one of the shortest F-16 landings I have ever seen in my life. The shortest I've managed to get an F-16 down to is about 0.7 nautical miles, which is quite a length. He jettisoned his canopy? Well then. Next we have the MiG-29 and the F-14. Viper short field technique. Yeah, he was landing with like a Navy rate of landing, but then used his burner at the last minute to shorten that up, or reduce that. 4v4, 6 versus 6. This is 6 versus 6. Although this last fight ended up being a 5-on-6. F-14 with their formation lights showing off a bit. Formation lights are something I wish I had on the F-16. They make formation flying quite difficult without them, especially at night or in clouds. Are they going for an overhead break? Looks like it. Split break is an interesting method for an overhead break, but we'll see how it plays out. Snake is trying to earn those style points that I suggested SATAC should have an award for. Coming in for a very short final. That's pretty typical of a overhead break. I wonder where that F-14 is. He's going to be coming in quick after him. And a nice gentle touchdown. Oh, a little bit of a bounce. How many points do you guys rate his landing as? That's the question. How about the F-14? F-14 is on final just about. Bit of an air should have closed out the final match. Yep. It's always appreciated for the viewers. I wonder if the Pappy lights actually work from this view. It looks like we might be a little steep for 2 whites here. Oh no, they do work. It's good to see. It's overflying a bit of his runway. They say one of the things pilots often most regret is the runway behind them. But he touches down, late touches down just fine, and the F-16 shows off, or the F-14 shows off its very short landing capability. Somebody's ejected over here. Who's goofing around? We gotta see how this plays out. And the F-14 doing donuts. All right, that brings this match to a close. They win for Snake. I will be back for the next time I'm asked to cast a SATAC match. So we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all for watching. We're not gonna raid into anyone. We're just gonna end it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.